I'm like looking down at my calendar now and like realizing that this whole fucking week is basically just sad doom metal week on the Metal Meltdown. Welcome to sad doom metal week, ladies and gentlemen. Fucking Converge with the Chelsea Wolf collaborative effort, the fucking Chemist record, there's Dream Unending, which I'm hoping to review, and now Swallow the fucking Sun, because yeah, it's sad doom metal week. Moonflowers is the 8th studio album from Finnish metal crew Swallow the Sun, whose particular brand of doom isn't just especially lush or emotive or evocative or downright fucking depressing at times. It's also pretty diverse and flexible. It's pulling influences from post-metal, from gothic metal, from progressive metal. This particular album even has a bit of a symphonic metal edge to it, with string quartets and horns and keyboards appearing prominently throughout the album. Their very passionate and smorgasbordian approach to the genre has made them pretty popular, but despite that, I have to concede I'm only really familiar with their last two studio albums. Though in my defense, those two studio albums are pretty fucking dense and pretty fucking wild, with Songs from the North still standing 6 years later as being one of the biggest records I've ever tackled in any capacity whatsoever. Whereas their previous studio album, When a Shadow is Forced into Light, I feel comfortable saying is one of the most depressing albums I've ever heard in my life, inspired by the death of a loved one and featuring perhaps some of the best written and produced doom and progressive metal I've ever heard. In retrospect, it was probably one of the best albums released in 2019. I'm shocked it wasn't on my top 10 of that year. That's how fucking good it is. But hey, what's done is done. I can't change the past, and I gain nothing from dwelling on it, especially not when faced with a record like Moonflowers. An album so ripe with heartache and trauma that primary songwriter Juho doesn't even really seem all that comfortable talking about anything that went into the album in any capacity, except to say that he genuinely hates talking about the album in any capacity. Writing here in a press release, one of the few I've even received from this band, I know well that I should not say this, but I deeply hate this album. I hate where it takes me, how it makes me feel, and what it stands for me. I wish it wouldn't. With all due respect, right off the bat, I see a few problems here. For one, this means the music is very vague, which in theory makes it easier for another listener to kind of implant their own experiences onto the record, but in execution, at least for me, it just kind of makes this feel like an endless blob of melodrama. Not too dissimilar from something like Sleep Token, dare I say, albeit much less obnoxious. Like, don't get me wrong, the music is powerful, and we will discuss the music, but I can't help but get the feeling that it would be more powerful, more cathartic, more appealing, more immersive, more captivating if I really knew what the hell was bothering these guys so much. Thankfully, though, I'm happy to report that Swallow the Sun are strong enough as musicians and as producers that they are able to successfully emote solely through the music, which is consistently grand and lush and evocative, tugging figuratively and literally on heartstrings. There are so many beautifully packed walls of keyboards and electric guitar and string quartets and mournful, melancholic vocals. So many lumbering riffs, so many peaceful, tranquil sections contrasted with blistering, scorching death doom and gothic metal. Tracks like Moonflowers, Bloom in Misery, Weave into Sorrow, and Keep Your Heart Safe from Me are perfect examples of everything I'm talking about. They are hauntingly beautiful, they are majestic, they are ominous, they are filled with fantastic melodies and arrangements. Some of my favorite tracks on the record would be Enemy and This House Has No Name, the former of which sports some of the more aggressive and muscular doom metal riffery on the record, contrasted with some very bold gothic metal keyboards and vocals. whereas the latter closes this record on a genuinely bittersweet and almost tragic note. There's something just genuinely devastating about this cut, from the way the strings and acoustic guitars are implemented to just how inherently depressing so much of the vocals and lyrics are here. The production value and the sound mixing on this thing is nothing short of incredible. Everything is crisp and clear. Everything shines and sparkles like a star in the night sky, despite the very mournful and depressive and miserable atmosphere. I'm loving the overall aesthetic of the record, especially the album art, which, from what I understand, was composed initially with dried moonflowers and, like, blood. Like, human fucking blood. Which, you know, obviously, metal as fuck. 10 out of 10 right fucking there. I do wish the lyrics were a little bit more specific. I do wish there was a little bit more detail in the storytelling and in what inspires this record. It would make this more cathartic for me, but at the end of the day, I did still pull a lot of genuine emotion out of this. And I would say the bigger issue probably lies in the album's pacing. I understand that this is doom metal, and I understand that they're playing some pretty fucking miserable doom at that, but man, this thing feels so fucking long. The irony being that this is one of Swallow the Sun's shortest records, which is weird to say out loud, but nonetheless, the very slow, monotonous pace and the inherent melodrama of this entire record just made this feel a lot longer than it actually was. I would give this a very enthusiastic 3.5 out of 5. There are definitely some areas where I think Swallow the Sun could have done better, but at the end of the day, it's hard to argue with the overall quality of the music. There's not a single bad track, not a single bad riff or hook or melody. Again, a lot of things they could have done to expand upon all this, but despite that, I'm sure that Swallow the Sun fans will thoroughly appreciate with this and connect with it. This is not a record you're playing at the family barbecue. This is not a record you're adding to the workout playlist. This is a record you're playing late at night with a tall glass of dark red wine. You're wrapped up in a blanket, you're sitting near a fire, and you've got a box of tissues at the fucking ready. With that in mind, honestly, I don't know if this album would work for you if you weren't in a setting like that, or if you weren't already in the mood for music like this, especially if, like myself, you're coming hot off the heels of some pretty epic doom thanks to Chemists. But hey, you are more than welcome to prove me wrong, and I hope you do. I hope lots of people connect with this album in all kinds of different ways. I had issues in some parts for many reasons that I feel I've listed. Regardless, I still thought it was a really, really, really good album. 3.5 out of 5. I'd say check it out. Again, be in a specific mood or setting, because it'll help, but check it out at some point nonetheless. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be, so what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe right here so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately. And as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.